Introduction to Shujie Monster Hunting Handbook. On the day the sun disappears, creatures that have been silent for thousands of years appear one by one in this eternal world, and a new round of shuffling begins. A strange manual reveals everything in Chen Ling's eyes, leading him towards the unknown world. The demon seed that resides in the human heart. The ever-changing and unknown. The chant of the underworld sea. Chapter 1. The sun disappears. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Ding-ling-ling, as the alarm clock on the table made a disturbing sound, it kept getting louder and louder. The dumb and cute dog alarm clock stopped beating with a snap of one hand. A young man with a clear face spread out in a large font. His name was Chen Ling and he was a student at Piety University in H City. He slowly woke up and then casually opened the curtains, preparing to welcome the usual daylight. Until the curtains were pulled open, it was pitch black. Chen Ling rubbed his eyes and said, "What's going on?" I looked at my phone in confusion, and at this moment, the 9.40 on my phone was incredibly eye-catching. Is it at this point in time that the sun hasn't risen yet? Let's do it again. The curtains were slammed shut and then opened again. The second time it caught the eye, it was still pitch black. Chen Ling said with some uncertainty, "A solar eclipse." Woo! Suddenly, a piercing air defense alarm sounded, from schools and some units, accompanied by the noisy crowd downstairs. Panic spread. Chen Ling plans to board Tianjin and check out the latest updates. What exactly happened today? It's strange. At this moment, countless keyboard warriors drowned out Tianjin, venting their frustration of forcibly logging out of the network. What the hell is going on? My flower is clear bones. I don't have any evening websites I've seen either. I was just about to hand over the flash kill to the opponent's small method, you give me this whole one. Suddenly, the same screen appeared on all platforms. I saw the King of H sitting upright in the middle of the screen, saying two words that had a profound impact on future generations. Brothers and sisters. Now we have encountered the most dangerous thing, which is enough to subvert human history. The sun has disappeared. Picking up the phone by the pillow, Chen Ling frowned and stared at the information on the screen without moving. Looking back on what the King of H said during the live broadcast, anxiety emerged in my heart. Unconsciously sliding along with the thumb, suddenly, one message after another came into view. It has been an hour since the sun went out. Please go to the city center to collect supplies. It has been 2 hours since the sun went out. Please purchase your own supplies, and the government will provide subsidies. Chen Ling frowned and said, "No, we need to go out and take a look." With the light of his phone, he left home like this. Outside the community, countless lights flickered and horns sounded everywhere, accompanied by the insults of middle-aged aunties, which was quite chaotic. So Chen Ling had to go back the same way and take a nap. After waking up, the phone showed 7:10 p.m. Carefully pull open the curtains. At this moment, it is drizzling lightly in the community. It seems difficult to go out today. One strange event after another made Chen Ling's heart go crazy. Just when most people were confused, the choice began. Some people find that their neighbors have disappeared and their phones are unanswered. The earth, shrouded in a long dark night, may seem unchanged, but it has indeed changed. Humanity has not only lost their homeland, but is also about to lose their hegemonic position. So, the previous exploration plan had to be accelerated when most people were not aware of it. In just one day, the West converted the original aircraft carrier into Noah's Ark 1, while H country quickly converted it into Tianjin 1. Everything for the future. For all humanity. In just 1 week, a very small number of people secretly left Earth and headed to the nearest moon, intending to establish temporary shelters. The person left behind knows nothing. A week later, the rain outside the window still didn't stop. Some aluminum windows fell with a clanging sound, and some people curiously checked the acidity and alkalinity of the rainwater. Surprisingly, it was acid rain. In the room, Chen Ling, who was lacking food, was looking at the black suitcase in front of him. The black leather box is 1.5 feet high, with golden stripes on the edges. The bottom of the box is made of sunken wood, which is extremely heavy. Once inherited from generation to generation as a family heirloom. In recent years, the biggest use of black leather boxes has been to hold snacks, and Chen Ling poured out all the remaining snacks in one breath. Wow! The compressed biscuits and beer peanuts that I usually don't like to eat are scattered all over the ground. Suppressing the hunger, Chen Ling put the remaining food into a plastic bag, leaving only a piece of snow cake. In the corridor, the cry for help from the next door kept echoing. Is anyone there? Give me something to eat, my baby hasn't eaten for 2 days. Chen Ling has a strong impression of that woman. A noble woman, everything is just right, but that's all, and the blood seeping through the corner of the wall. After observing the bloodshed in the corner of the wall, Chen Ling lifted the black leather box with both hands. During the transportation process, sink with your right hand. Chen Ling discovered that the bottom of the black leather box that had fallen to the ground made a clanging sound. Tap with your fingers, and the hollow sound resounds through your ears. The bottom layer of the black leather box turned out to be hollow. When Chen Ling took out a kitchen knife and cut on it, the sound of smashing the door rang out again. Chen Ling's eyes froze and he said, "There are always people who think others have food and just go grab it. Those who hold this kind of bandit mentality, I will make you pay the price." Gently circling around the left side of the iron door, Chen Ling lifted the kitchen knife in his hand. As the tallest pillar in the sports academy, he has never been afraid of anyone or anything. Finally, the intense knocking on the door disappeared. The man's cursing outside the door gradually faded away. Chen Ling took a deep breath and thought, there have been more and more of these things lately. Sting. Returning to the black leather box, take out the kitchen knife and place it straight at the bottom of the black leather box. Just like cutting craft paper, Chen Ling's kitchen knife effortlessly cut through the bottom layer of the black leather box. Then, a palm-sized booklet appeared in his sight. The Rural Monster Hunting Handbook. Chen Ling was curious and said, "What is this? But I can't even flip through this manual, the pages are tightly integrated. It's like glue that has been used for 82 years, tightly packed together." Chen Ling, I'm your father. Hurry up and open the door." Outside the door, Chen Ling was overjoyed when his father's incredibly familiar voice suddenly entered his ears. Although his father works in the neighboring province and city, it cannot be ruled out that he may suddenly return home. Chen Ling quickened his pace and made a decision in his heart. We need to open the door quickly. Wow! A golden booklet flew out of Chen Ling's chest, blocking his view. As one side of the booklet appeared, Chen Ling's heart quickly cooled down. Metamorphosis Monster, Juvenile. The lowest form of creature in the world, possessing the ability to mimic the appearance of creatures in memory. It does not have the ability to attack directly, and its juvenile strength is equivalent to that of an adult male. Skill. Transformation, Strength. 5, usually 6, Speed. 5, usually 6, Wisdom. 7, weakened due to hunger, generally 10 people, Status. Hunger. Chen Ling stopped in his tracks, and the figure outside suddenly collapsed, interrupting the repeated calls. There was no sound in the corridor for a long time. This made Chen Ling a little curious. Have you left? He widened his eyes through the cat's eye of the iron door and looked into the pitch-black corridor. My good child, why don't you open the door? Do you know I'm so hungry? The sound seemed to come from above, and Chen Ling's heart cooled down. He looked up and saw the familiar figure lying on the floor lamp in the hallway. Staring at oneself with a pair of bright red eyes. Squeak, squeak. Half of the tail leaked out, and then it was sucked into the stomach with a smooth bite. The corridor was instantly quiet. Behind the door that Chen Ling couldn't see, a woman dressed as a noblewoman looked at the child on the ceiling with a pair of lifeless eyes. Occasionally, a child kindly helps her move her body. Gudu. Chen Ling's throat rolled up and down, and a little cold sweat emerged from his forehead. He dared not move at all, his posture was incredibly comical, as if frozen. Chapter 2. Father's Mercy and Son's Filial Piety. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Ling tried to pull out a smile on her face and said, "Dad, it's so late. Are you still putting on this morning exercise?" "It's great." The father, on the floor lamp, looked at him expressionlessly. Its blood-red eyes began to twirl incessantly. "It's nice here, you come out and play." "I'm hungry, come out and have some snacks." Chen Ling swallowed his saliva and said, "It's okay, you keep going, keep going." Seeing Chen Ling about to withdraw from its field of vision, it suddenly agile like a gecko, approaching the iron gate step by step with Chen Ling's retreating gaze. Chen Ling withdrew back into the room and leaned his back against the cold wall. That peculiar motor nerve, what's on the other side? Are you still human? Countless thoughts intertwined in his heart. Currently, things are moving in an unpredictable direction. Just like a runaway train, off its established track. "Good son, open the door quickly." "Why don't you open the door?" "Open the door for me." It disintegrated with a loud bang from the floor lamp, leaving an irregular gel-like mass wriggling. Then, crazily shouting against the iron gate. Kind words echoed throughout the pitch-black corridor. "Open the door, father, I'll show you some good food." Drops of gelatinous material fell outside the iron gate, gradually converging into a father. That pair of loving eyes gently stared at Chen Ling. Eliminating the constant drooling is very friendly. At this moment, unidentified creatures surged upwards from the ground floor in the corridor. Occasionally, one or two people would scream and be pushed away from the first-floor corridor. Chen Ling cursed loudly, "Enough, don't become like my father again, it's disgusting." Then quickly retreated to the side of the black leather box and picked up the kitchen knife on the ground. He took out the Wong Wong snow cake from his chest and chewed it hard to relieve a little tension and hunger. Chen Ling hypnotized herself and kept muttering to herself, "You can give it a try. The stamina of the transformation monster is still less than 6. This wave, I can counter-kill." Chen Ling stared fixedly at the iron gate, his anti-killing thoughts constantly floating and sinking. I can outside the door." Countless words were heard from the familiar figure, and the delicate noise was getting closer and closer. Did he discover it? "It's so cute. Sister likes this kind of thing." "Ha." Unknowingly sharp words came from behind the iron gate. There was only a heavy breathing sound in the air accompanied by the deformation of the iron door, which was also slammed and clattered, as it seemed to be about to die. Inside the room. "Where are people?" Accompanied by the smell of tungsten wire burning in the air. At first, the shape-shifting monster kept exploring its position step by step, but without any response, it went crazy and stirred up the room in chaos. Time goes back to before the metamorphosis monster broke through the door, when the tungsten wire in the electric light crackled and burst, black dots filled the interior of the light, casting shadows throughout the room. Chen Ling quickly ran towards the grocery storage room. The security brought by the kitchen knife in hand is not enough. "Chen Ling, there's a big guy in the grocery storage room, we need to hurry up." Zila. Of course, it would be remarkable if the power supply system in this city could last for a week, let alone almost 8 days now. Black spread out, and in the entire corridor, apart from some chewing sounds, there seemed to be nothing else. When Chen Ling was holding a flashlight, he casually took a fire axe. "Because there was a fire incident in the neighboring community before, I have a spare fire axe at home." The heavy fire axe added a sense of security to Chen Ling's heart. Bang, bang, bang. At the moment of passing by the iron gate, this thing was still smashing the door, probably destroying its rationality with a strong sense of hunger. The Shujie Monster Hunting Manual suddenly trembled, and the pages of the windless auto updated the status of the Metamorphosis Monster. Metamorphosis Monster Intelligence .3, Physical Strength. 3. Speed. 4. The intense hunger destroyed the other person's mind, and the resentment towards you continued to deepen. As a member of the tribe, its status was challenged, which made it unbearable. Even a huge iron gate cannot stop the opponent, but there is only one chance to test him, otherwise he will die. Quickly tied the tattered quilt to his waist, then jumped down from the bedroom window and got stuck on the edge of the old-fashioned balcony. Chen Ling said, "It seems that only that place can be given a try." In the room, the metamorphosis monster was hysterically venting, and all the sofas and coffee tables were thrown out. When the blood-colored eyes passed by the bedroom window, it stopped. A bag of snacks is placed on top, and the extended palm extends straight towards the window. "Go to hell, monster." Boom. The iron window was lifted open. In the surprised gaze of his father, Chen Ling's figure was reflected in it, and he smashed a fire axe fiercely. Bang! Just like a broken sack flying out, the father's form cannot be sustained. With a crackle, colorful things flowed all over the ground, turning into a puddle of mud. Chen Ling's roar was mixed with pleasure. One axe after another swung down without a clear plan. Chen Ling laughed wildly and said, "Xiao Yan, Zhan Wuskam. Let you be arrogant. Let me crawl for you." After a long time, when he comfortably put away the fire axe, the familiar figure in the room has become fragmented. Suddenly, Chen Ling's pupils contracted and he said, still resurrecting. The part decomposed by the fire axe is actually converging in one direction. The direction is right at the entrance, and at this moment, Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net, a black one-eyed person, swam there. It is showing resentment. Death. Chen Ling stepped on it with one foot, and a strong resistance swept through the soles of his feet, followed by a slide. The whole person collapsed next to the broken iron door. Shoo! The black one-eyed person slid through the hallway, breaking through all obstacles and disappearing in an instant. As if tearing through the final disguise, it has regained its original image, like countless mixtures glued together and tendons connected together. It coldly threw down a sentence. "Next time I catch you, I will swallow you inside and out." Then he fled. Chen Ling, holding a flashlight, glanced at the floor of the room and found that the other person had left some things behind. He used a kitchen knife to put them inside and scrape them. "What is this?" "Oh roar, you can handle it, this brother." Chen Ling's excited voice echoed through the room. In the broken mud, a blood-colored crystal stands out, forming a diamond shape as a whole. Emitting a faint light in the dark, like a red agate carved from it. And the book on my chest was slightly feverish. Then it appeared in front of Chen Ling, and all the handwriting on it quickly disappeared. Then, as if an invisible hand was writing rapidly, the extremely messy handwriting began to appear. Chen Ling, is this handwriting familiar to the eyes? Looking at it, Chen Ling felt bad all over. The Shujie Monster Hunting Handbook contains these 3 sentences. Warning. Warning. Please escape immediately. Black inferior willpower has noticed you and is covering it up. Please collect more red crystals in the future, now. Run away. Quickly. Chapter 3 Meeting on a Narrow Path. Brave Victory. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Ling, where are you running now? The whole body is weak, and after a huge outburst, it becomes a long-term weakness that is within reach. The abdomen is cold and the sticky blood is deformed. The thick tattered quilt was thrown underground, and the tattered quilt that had briefly stayed outside the window also covered in a layer of frost. Chen Ling dragged the fire axe backwards and walked towards the neighboring neighbor's home. At the bottom of the entire building, a one-cornered devil, 3 meters high and pitch black, stared at the floor in front of him with confusion, looking at it again and again. It grabbed with a big hand, and the deformed monster shattered by Chen Ling trembled. The unicorn devil said, "Strange, who could beat you up like this?" Only the one-eyed shape-shifting monster remained, afraid to show any emotion. Tianhe community is located in the capital city of H country, B City, built by Sega Real Estate Group Company, Limited, with a total area of 30,000 square meters. There should be everything in the community, including schools, healthcare, and the largest shopping center. And Chen Ling's house has 6 buildings with 13 floors, which is a building with relatively few residents, estimated to have 100 households. The flashlight's light carefully swept around, and there was no movement from the 3 nearby households. At this moment, Chen Ling, who had once again replenished his energy, had to go door to door looking for the necessary supplies. "Why don't we go across the street and take a look?" Stopping at the door 1305 next door, Chen Ling hesitated a bit. The other 2 households had just been searched, and this happened to be the beautiful woman. Gently knocked on the door. Squeak. How could the door open like this? Chen Ling pushed open the door in surprise, only to hear a creaking sound echoing continuously. First, I looked at the ground and confirmed that the distance projected by the indoor flashlight was 20 meters. Then, I closed the door with my cat's body. Why is there nothing? The ground was a mess, with photos of couples and food that had been knocked over. A decaying odor in the air, if present or absent, becomes stronger as it enters. "Baby, go to sleep, you're sprouting. Go to sleep, grow up quickly." A familiar piece of music came, and in the darkness, this incredibly unique singing attracted Chen Ling. Follow the sound to the source, outside the bedroom of a married couple. Through the occasional starlight projected from the sky, Chen Ling could see clearly in the bedroom. There is a stain accompanied by a lullaby playing in the music box. A woman foolishly sang a nursery rhyme. "Sleep, sleep. Grow up quickly." And across from her, a huge head on the wall was feasting on it. Click, click, click. Poochie poochie. A 2-meter tall head is devouring those toys, those with hair, those that are pure white, and so on. And they are all rolling in the mouth full of teeth and over a meter deep. The smell in the air is suffocating. But after the previous experience, Chen Ling no longer needed any psychological suggestion and tightened the fire axe in his hand. Chen Ling remained calm and said, "As long as it's a monster, just kill it." The noblewoman looked at the doll with a loving expression on her face and said, "Baby, my baby, go to bed quickly." Chen Ling muttered to herself, "Oh, this is treating it like one's own child." But with such a massive body, it is absolutely impossible to do it with just a fire axe. Gently close the door. Chen Ling let out a long sigh and said, "Are you no longer considered human?" The Shujie Monster Hunting Handbook has once again become popular. Chen Ling cautiously retreated and slipped into the bathroom like a cheetah. "Get around the dirty parts." I saw new handwriting prominently appearing on it. Successfully masking black inferior willpower, collect a soul crystal, and as long as you sacrifice it to the big god, you will receive huge rewards. Chen Ling sneered, "What kind of sacrifice? This thing cannot be a secret scripture left by an evil god. Specially deceive those ignorant girls, he won't fall for it. Sacrifice to me." As the words fell, Chen Ling was eagerly anticipating the next reward. How could there be no need to worry? A large amount of darkness receded, and first a huge flame door took away the so-called soul crystal. Then, countless white mist appeared beside Chen Ling. A huge palm extended from the void, supporting Chen Ling. "Human beings, the transaction is established. Speak out your demands, and I will replace my lord. Depending on the value of your sacrifice, I will decide how much to return. It is as vast as a mountain, with vibrant flames rising and obscure mist blocking its shape. Chen Ling. I need a knife that can cut them off. His eyes were fixed on the gaze in the mist, and the other person's gaze did not resemble that of a human. The golden radiance flows within it, inside but not outside. Yes, the transaction is established, accompanied by its promise. There was a sudden uprising in the air, and in the distant sky, countless masses of magma rushed forward, condensing in the giant's palm. A golden thunder snake fluttered from the sky, while a silver dragon condensed in seawater soared into the sky and rushed into it. A dazzling light shone on the person, unable to open their eyes, shining throughout the world. Chen Ling felt a lightness all over his body, and the light merged into his body. This sword, named Zhanggang, can crush gold and jade. It's enough for you to use. The other party's voice gradually dissipated, and in the bathroom, Chen Ling, who opened her eyes, raised her right hand. The steel-cutting sword with purple electric light appeared suddenly. Looking back at the Shujie Monster Hunting Handbook, a new page appears. If there is an existence that exceeds the owner's ability in the manual, UU reading www.uukangshu.net will issue a warning. Dirty will is not only the origin of disaster, but also the root of power. With a gentle flip, its true appearance is revealed. Metamorphosis monster, adult, ability. Bewitching people, mental interference, intelligence. 7. Physical strength. 12. Speed. 10. This is an opponent that cannot be underestimated. If you use your little brain and appropriate methods, you will find that it has nothing to show. In the gaming world, did I encounter two wild monsters at the beginning? Chen Ling pursed her lips and fell into contemplation as she looked at the contents of the booklet. There is only a surface, but the data is higher, surpassing the previous deformation monsters, and the ability is also stronger. Suddenly, below the building, the sound of the tide crashing against the coast emerged. That is a deeper ethnic group, with screams coming out every time they pass through a floor. Then, just like sheep attacked by a pack of lions, they let out a second scream and disappeared. Chen Ling's eyes in the bathroom froze and he said, "What's coming over? Are they cleaning up?" On the other side, the sound of chewing was getting closer and closer, with a strong fishy smell rushing straight to the forehead. Boom. Subconsciously leaning forward, the entire toilet collapsed with a loud roar. Under the projection of the flashlight, the pale face of the deformed monster, adult, was stained with a lot of dirt. Wow! Accompanied by the sound of sobs, it raised its white hand to grab chunks of gravel. Like a protesting puppy, the dog scratched a few times and then stared fiercely at Chen Ling. Come on, face the wild monsters directly. Chapter 4. Equivalence Exchange, Blood and Meat Derivation Technique. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the small toilet, a tense atmosphere permeates. While the big head metamorphosis monster grinned, he also stared at Chen Ling intently, and the fight was about to erupt. And Chen Ling secretly paid attention to the other person's big mouth. With those densely packed teeth, take a bite and you can go to heaven to report. Chen Ling said, you really have a strange appearance. Wearing a 1-meter wide head on his upper body. The lower body is the size of an average person's torso. Extreme disharmony. Ah. Finally, the big head metamorphosis monster couldn't help but jump up with its front foot and exert force with its back foot. It is like an arrow departing from the string, wanting to directly hit Chen Ling's chest and bite. But it was greeted by a 1-meter-long red fire axe. In a hissing sound, the big-headed shape-shifting monster was disfigured alive, with its bones and flesh separated. Countless blood splattered from a 1-meter-thick knife mark. Taking advantage of the opponent's unfavorable start, Chen Ling shook his right hand and took out the slashing steel sword, with a purple electric light and extraordinary power. Ha, little one, let me show you the new equipment I just got. Pai li pa. The electric light kept surging and boiling, and the disfigured shape-shifting monster was frightened and retreated in succession. In the small toilet, the two people who were wary of each other constantly adjusted their positions. Until Chen Ling retreated to the destroyed door of the toilet. I just wanted to use the steel sword to kill the metamorphosis monster. But the evil wind coming from behind made Chen Ling feel uneasy, and he swung his sword back to block it. Clash! Under the light of the flashlight, it was the noble woman who appeared behind Chen Ling, while the one who was knocked away by the sound turned out to be a kitchen knife. The noble woman screamed hysterically, Don't hurt my baby." He threw himself next to the shape-shifting monster, and the heavily injured shape-shifting monster also healed its scars in just 2 short breaths. "Chen Ling, it's really tricky." As soon as the words fell, a dense murmur began to ring throughout the room. 1, 2, 3 in a row climbed from the ceiling to the hall, shouting at him. Chen Ling's mouth twitched and said, "We need to solve this group of deformation monsters faster, and the screams below the hallway are also very unsettling. Has this building become a nest for shape-shifting monsters to breed offspring?" It has to be said that Chen Ling's ideas perfectly matched the current situation. In the pitch black, human combat power was limited, and in the 5th floor corridor, all the screams had already disappeared. At this moment, what is heading towards the 6th level is the Kuroshio formed by the metamorphosis monsters. Like carrying spoils of war, they deprive all living beings of the past, as long as they are edible. Woo. As if unable to utter one's own voice, that childlike sobbing sound, the so-called mournful cry, even triggered the woman's harshness. "Ladies. Babies, there's food in the room. Let's catch it quickly." The woman suddenly erupted in great enthusiasm, grabbed Chen Ling's fire axe in her hand, and rushed towards Chen Ling with the diving transformation monsters. Chen Ling roared angrily, "Don't underestimate people. I, Chen Ling, am the best at carrying pillars." He swung a 1-meter-long chopping steel sword, and the sword light shot up into the sky. Pushi! Pushi! Tear open the flesh and blood of 2 deformed monsters like chopping melons and vegetables. Then the chest slightly heated up, and the sharp sword light clattered into the mouth of the next deformed monster. Zila Zila! The sword light was buried deep in it, and the deformed monster, stabbed with a sword, was on the verge of collapse. The burnt flesh at the edge of the mouth emits a foul odor. Boom! A huge fire axe fell straight in front of Chen Ling's yen. Pop! Almost simultaneously, the beautiful woman holding a fire axe was about to lift it when Chen Ling kicked her away. Ku eat. Chen Ling continued to use the chopping steel sword to penetrate deeper into the mouth of the deformed monster, and a large amount of flesh and blood was consumed by the electric light. Bang! When the 4th deformation monster first rushed in, a huge fire axe was thrown out by Chen Ling, along with its body nailed to the wall. Zila Zila! Large patches of blood splattered, and the entire room was dyed with inexplicable colors, appearing extremely dark. In the corridor, the loud noise caused many people upstairs to exclaim in surprise. "What's wrong with the 13th floor? I heard the screams of the people on the 5th floor. Who will save us?" Even on the 8th day when the sun disappeared, there were still some survivors who looked over their heads, and Chen Ling lightly wiped the crimson corners of their mouths. "Why? This deformation monster has such strong toughness. Does it not deform? Is it on any woman?" Chen Ling's eyes twitched as she unconsciously moved away from the young woman on the battlefield. She was approaching the window, and indeed, crack! In the darkness, her upper half suddenly swelled and cracked open. A fist-sized black eyeball playfully glanced at Chen Ling and then drove his entire body to crash into the window. Ding ding dang dang. The sound of glass shattering echoed in his ears, and the deformed monster under Chen Ling's steel sword also softened into a puddle. Effortlessly, a red crystal the size of a little finger landed in my hand. Underworld Monster Hunting Handbook, can you explain why the other party has this ability? Don't respond. I burned you. Chen Ling's icy tone was revealed. After the air condensed for a while, Chen Ling shook his head without receiving a response. This thing really doesn't have a mind, but it does have its own judgment ability, which is very strange. The manual will give me an analysis of the ability of the transformation monster just now. This is something that only growth-type shape-shifting monsters can do, dividing their soul crystals and invading their bodies. The manual slowly flew out of my chest, and the handwriting appeared. At this moment, Chen Ling had a big guess in his heart, but he couldn't be certain. Then, he pulled out the so-called chopping steel sword, and saw that it was still as shiny as new. But the lightning is gone. It's gone. Identify this steel chopping sword for me. The pages of the manual trembled lightly. Chopping steel sword, low-level replica. It has a sturdy feature and can activate water, fire, and lightning attributes. However, after use, this feature is lost. It needs to be recharged again. Status. Thunder attribute is missing, water and fire attributes are not activated. In the end, Chen Ling had to accept the reality that the chopping steel sword in his hand was a counterfeit and inferior product. What is the use of something that needs to be charged in this world? Why bother with such flashy things? The sacrifice just now only resulted in obtaining a weapon with the same strength as the young transformation monster. Chen Lingxin sighed and said, I knew it was something else. Listening to the wailing of the deformed monster nailed to the wall. After a long time, Chen Ling's eyes flickered with a hint of confusion and he said, I have one last question, does this world have a future? It's almost -10 degrees now. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net plus those who collect preserved meat, there will soon be no more living creatures in this building. So what about other places? The golden-bordered, Underworld Monster Hunting Handbook also lingered in mid-air for a while, like a real person pondering. Next, open the first page of the book. Insufficient permissions, but the manual itself has a soul that can explore and avoid risks, helping you survive. Chen Ling picked up the fire axe and steel sword from the ground and said, speaking of these, are they useful? Then squinting his eyes, he saw the darkness outside the window and couldn't help but think, what a terrible world. And also, my weak self. I remember that I was a part of some great existence, coming from the future, and could only serve as a warning. If you want to become stronger, you must comply with the principle of equal exchange. On the golden manual, darkness surges one after another, and under the starry sky, it becomes even more profound and ruthless. As if sensing a huge crisis ahead, the manual had to open its small warehouse. From a cultivation diary of an evil god. Chen Ling's lips curled and said, The cultivation diary of the evil god, the technique of deriving blood and flesh. The owner of this manual has nothing to do with the evil gods, it's impossible to explain at all. The handwriting on the manual is deceiving. If you insist on practicing, you can only continue to sacrifice the life or core of the dark race, in order to become stronger. As the last word fell, the air seemed to condense. Under the darkness, a dull voice sounded. I learned the power of darkness. I probably can't be human anymore. In this way, everything I have to rely on sacrificing to the dark race. At this moment, it is the 8th night without the sun. Chapter 5. The Hanging 9th Floor Staircase. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Once a decision is made, it must be fought and decided quickly. Chen Ling grabbed the Shujie Monster Hunting Handbook with a final frenzy in his eyes. Come on, I need even stronger power. Don't use that illusion anymore. Chen Ling closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Did you notice? If you could see the expression on the manual, it must be a friendly smile mixed with a guilty heart. Chen Ling smiled slightly and said, at first, I believed it, but later. Please connect me. Under the watchful gaze of Chen Ling, a blood-red flame burned out from the golden manual. And this time, Chen Ling clearly felt the changes around him, with an altar at his feet and a mist appearing in the distance. The Shujie Monster Hunting Handbook, which rapidly shrank from a towering mountain-like creature, slowly landed on the palm of Chen Ling's outstretched hand. Chen Ling, your spirit has been marked in this world, and you can appear here at any time. Now start teleporting the blood and meat secret technique. The dark light in the manual flashed away, and a thought suddenly appeared in Chen Ling's mind. He quickly closed his eyes to retrieve memories. When I woke up again, I was still in a filthy room. Puzzle. The tattered fire axe was pulled out and then inserted straight into the other deformed monster next to Chen Ling. The 3 surviving shape-shifting monsters are all exposed with soul crystals the size of rice grains, which makes them weak once they lose their original shape-shifting monsters. Roar. It's like muscles and joints losing their nerve stretching and can only crawl clumsily on the ground. Only after removing the soul crystal will one die completely. Me, Chen Ling, willing to sign a contract with it big. #adults so that your flesh and blood can fill your body. Chen Ling began to recite the spell seriously. The manual in front of me started flipping rapidly with a strange sound, and a mysterious connection was connected by the manual as a link. In the air, violent fluctuations rise and fall rapidly from shallow to deep. After a force swept over the 3 thumb-sized crystals in front of them, they all turned into powder. Come on, immortal. #great. Hereby declare that the contract is established. Your servants have offered a negligible sacrifice. As the words fell, the corpses of the deformed monster on the ground turned into countless blood snakes and rushed into Chen Ling's body. He felt his own changes carefully. The cold and sticky feeling spread throughout the body. Countless blood is washing away the whole body. Continuing to merge towards the center of the eyebrows, the whole body feels like a furnace, driving the heart to beat violently. From the outside, Chen Ling's whole body seemed to be sucked into a blood cocoon, and the sound of a huge drum beating followed the cocoon as he breathed. Did you succeed? In the room, a huge blood cocoon was torn open by a crystal-clear hand. Chen Ling's figure appeared, with a pair of red pupils and a strange blood flame slowly burning in the center of his eyebrows. Success, but this is only the first stage, the lowest level servant, and once you refuse to offer sacrifices to the other party, the evil god may take everything from you, including life. On the golden manual, even without a flashlight, the handwriting can be seen clearly. Chen Ling felt that her form had not fully transformed into a deformed monster and said, "Now, take a look at my attributes." Chen Ling, pseudo-metamorphosis monster, low-level dark creature, skill. Sees through disguise, burns blood, intelligence. 8.10, in mental pollution, power. 19, speed. 15, for the sake of power, you choose not to be human, but the power gained from sacrifice can only serve as an aid. Spiritual pollution always reduces your rationality. When rationality returns to 0, your existence will be replaced. Countless distractions rushed to my heart, as if many people were whispering in my ears. Chen Ling's blood-colored pupils illuminated the residue on the ground. And this allowed him to see the essence of the transformation monster clearly, so that monsters could distinguish them. Sure enough, the source of these transformation monsters is all humans. Crystals are the souls of humans. At this moment, countless thoughts were sinking and floating in the blood flame of Chen Ling's heart. In the body, the massive physical strength seems to be able to burn fiercely in an instant. Suppressing the feeling of nausea, Chen Ling mixed the crushed compressed biscuits with sour beer and took 3 sips to suffocate. Chen Ling speculates that there are currently no 50 people living in the entire building, and there cannot be anyone downstairs now. Thinking of the complete fire alarm system in Tianhe community, Chen Ling had an idea in her heart. After a moment, he made a decision. As long as the speed is fast enough, the upper-level fire extinguishing facilities can make it. The first thing to do is to cut off their attack. This resident should also have a fire axe, and Chen Ling effortlessly picked up the fire axe that was about to break. His eyes were fixed on the kitchen, where he should have what he needed most at the moment. In a short period of time, the howling sound came closer to the 13th level, and when the shape-shifting monsters rushed towards the 9th level, they froze. I saw a large amount of flames burning the pitch-black corridor red. At the entrance of the 9th floor, the man appeared. He spread the volatile liquid in the bathtub all over the stairs on the 9th floor. Its height far exceeds that of an average person, like a small mountain. 2 huge fire axes were carried in their hands, and a pair of blood pupils were terrifying in the darkness. Ah! The transformation monsters in the first 3 rows cunningly wanted to stop, while the surging transformation monsters in the back pushed them uncontrollably into the sea of fire. A large amount of gelatinous tissue howled in agony, along with the various toys they swallowed, which were also exposed. Zila Zila. Just like refining oil, they didn't die, but their bodies began to shrink. Chen Ling raised 2 fire axes and looked at the deformed monster rushing out, smashing it head on. Like exploding watermelons, the black eyes that were exposed were listless and wanted to escape, and then the second fire axe plummeted. Click. Click. Chen Ling completed his first kill, his movements kept going, and the numbers in the golden manual rose sharply. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net and ultimately stabilized at the number 36. Cough cough. 1, 2. Even with Chen Ling's current physical strength, he is almost unable to hold on. The blood flame between his eyebrows was dim and lifeless, and the corridor was already pitch black. A large number of fragments are gathering in one direction. Isn't it over yet? Chen Ling's eyes revealed exhaustion. The 9th floor corridor is becoming increasingly oppressive, and the alarm sounds in the community keep ringing. A large amount of smoke is absorbed by the alarm. The rest also makes it difficult for all the deformation monsters on the 9th floor to sense their direction. Roar. The smoke and flames in the hallway were all sucked into the body of a giant object. His body was covered in bloodshot eyes. In the pitch-black night, it firmly steps on the 8th floor staircase. So I ran to the 8th floor, no wonder. Chen Ling spat out a mouthful of blood, picked up the intact fire axe, and sighed lightly. Gather all your strength and look straight at the multi-eyed shape-shifting monster rushing towards you. The golden manual automatically appears in the chest. Chen Ling, hurry up and leave. You can't beat it. Who said I'm going to beat it? That kind of thing looks like a new variety. Chen Ling's mouth curved slightly. As the multi-eyed shape-shifting monster rushed towards the entrance of the 9th floor staircase, the huge fire axe, carrying Chen Ling's will, plummeted with a loud roar. Click, click. The situation became increasingly intense, and the entire 9th floor staircase began to shatter. The multi-eyed deformation monster was only 2 steps away from Chen Ling, but it could no longer touch Chen Ling. With a loud rumble, the stairs at the interface between the 9th and 8th floors of the corridor disintegrated. On the path of evolution in Chapter 6, he will watch you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ah! The multi-eyed shape-shifting monster, standing 3 meters tall, greets countless foul-smelling mouths at the same time. It had a mournful face, with all its one-eyed eyes fixed on Chen Ling. Wow! Suddenly, the multi-eyed shape-shifting monster's multiple arms rapidly extended. I want to hold on to both ends of the broken staircase, the vast opening of the abyss, devouring people's hearts and minds. I've already prepared it for you. Catch it. In the flames, Chen Ling's sunshine smile revealed. A bathtub rotates 360 degrees. With a shout, the metamorphosis monster hit its lower body in despair. Human, I am waiting for you below, I curse you. After a scream, the body of the multi-eyed shape-shifting monster fell into the lower floor. The air was filled with a burnt smell. Chen Ling leaned on the fire axe with one hand and gasped for breath. Chen Ling, you humans are truly capable of creating miracles. Have you counted all the middle-aged shape-shifting monsters that have crossed 2 levels? The handwriting on the manual reflects its disbelief. No, I didn't even count it. Who would have thought of that step? Chen Ling waved his hand and collapsed to the ground. At this moment, the golden manual has stopped on the page of the multi-eyed monster. Multi-eyed metamorphosis monster, adult, skills. Roar, curse, power, intelligence. 20, power. 23, speed. 21, status. Anger and calm, you have successfully angered the metamorphosis monster tribe, and all the metamorphosis monsters have heard of you. Your path forward will not be lonely. After a long time, all the fires were extinguished by the water dripping from the alarm. As for the sound of heavy objects rolling from the bottom of the building, it was obvious that the other party was not dead. At this moment, shattered shape-shifting one-eyed fragments spread across the ground. The blood flame between Chen Ling's eyebrows also slowly dissipated, and his body size recovered from 2 meters high to its original size. Cough cough. Amidst the intense coughing, Chen Ling was shocked to find a bright red with black blood, and the manual anxiously revealed his condition. Chen Ling, demonic transformation 0.00001%. You have successfully completed a transaction with the evil god, and the other party is very satisfied with your sacrifice and hopes that you can sacrifice quickly. They gave you a reward in advance, and your physical condition has changed, skill. Burn blood, see through artifacts, intelligence. 7.9, power. 17, speed. 12, your mental pollution has become more severe, but your body has become more resilient. Chen Ling, do you still want to offer sacrifices? Of course, that's where I got there. My life won't stop here, great. Chen Ling began offering sacrifices again. The remaining flesh and core fragments on the ground, including those soul crystals, were immersed into his body. The blood flame in the center of the eyebrows is full of vitality, moving towards a more specific image. The blood is even colder. Chen Ling murmured to himself, feeling that a certain part of his body was being permanently lost. The contours of every object in the darkness appear in his perception. From the 9th floor down, one cocoon after another appeared in the broken room, and those cocoons were all humanoid looking up, the 10th floor, the 11th floor. Until the 17th floor, there is no life left. Suddenly, the anger of the cold territory being invaded was like the cold in a deep pool, causing Chen Ling's perception to quickly recover. The 17th floor 2 trembling figures, covered in thick cotton quilts, appeared one in front of the other at the staircase. It's so cold. Why did we come out in this cold weather? There are enough compressed biscuits in the room. What's enough? We've burned everything we can, and if we don't come out again, we'll freeze to death. Fool. Sun Ergu angrily interrupted his neighbor Wang Hao. Without malice, he thought to himself. Compress cookies. That thing has no water, it can even choke you to death. Just looking at Sun Ergu in a room with a flashlight, not paying attention behind him. At this moment, under Wang Hao's bloated skin, centipede feet were bulging and sinking, causing his entire body to shake. Hee, Sun Ergu, you finally can't help but come out. Sun Ergu turned around when he heard the words. I saw Wang Hao behind me tear open the blanket. More precisely, it was Wang Hao who tore open a layer of skin and revealed himself with a smile. This way is good, it can be breathable. Sun Erguzi, why haven't you evolved yet? So you can only be hunted. Your sister, I'll accept it with a smile. Wang Hao's face no longer showed his original appearance. His inner parts were exposed, and his thick fat and skeletal veins twisted as he breathed. What evolution? What are you talking about? Fatty guy, if you dare to touch my sister, I won't let you go. In Sun Ergu's fearful eyes, Wang Hao's body grew bigger and bigger. Inside the cracked body, a special insect-like creature shattered everything and crawled out. Sun Ergu picked up the coffee table on the ground and rushed towards Wang Hao. With a loud bang, the coffee table split into pieces, and then a pair of big eyes stared at him. Great evolution. Sob. The huge sickle limbs swiftly swept down. With a thud, Sun Ergu was like a sandbag being blown away, spraying all the content in the cracked hole in mid-air. His broken body collided with the wall, splashing with a splash and sticking to the wall. The body slowly limped down, as if without bones, involuntarily twitching. Shadow struck, and a soft tissue dragged Sun Ergu into endless darkness. A fresher seed entered his broken body. Freshman, it's starting. Sun Ergu stood up unsteadily. Looking at the warm ninth floor, there was the heat that Sun Ergu disliked the most. On the ground, only a broken skin remains. Interestingly, there are still humans who are not completely alienated. Wait a moment, go to the lower level first, and then go to the upper level. Sun Ergu walked to the restroom. First, turn on the faucet and carefully clean the outer shell with cold water. As a memory of his human days, he couldn't help but feel nauseous. Yu reading www.uukangshu.net warmth. How could I remember this word, disgusting. And above the abandoned land, a pitch-black sun appeared, and the underworld of the dark race was born here at this moment. On a rooftop in Tianhe community, one magical creature after another broke out of its cocoon and arrived here. Among them, the mature form of the shape-shifting monster. The inferior demon species occupies the majority. Gyut, didn't you say that the Kuroshio could destroy the sixth building with just 100 metamorphosis monsters? I originally believed what you said, but it failed. The black unicorn demon threw a metamorphosis monster in the center of the rooftop and gave a cold smile. As the only demon variant in Tianhe community, he is very dissatisfied with the blood food in Building 6. And amidst the laughter of the demons, the weak shape-shifting monster spoke. Respected Demon Lord. We have not yet occupied Building 6. We can offer all the rewards, as long as one human remains. The deformed monster's words were interrupted by other evil spirits before they could finish speaking. Waste, just like Zack who attacked the capital of Country M. We're going to collect ingredients from other places soon, so we won't be accompanying him. Let's go, Demon Lord. The remaining residue will be completely destroyed in no more than 10 days. What a useless low-level demon clan. As the same demon clan as you, I am very sad. Listening to a group of bad demons discussing. The man named Demon Lord touched the unicorn on his head. He responded coldly, this world will soon be ours. Those destined to perish need not be considered, the night belongs only to us. In most rooms of Tianhe community, countless cocoons have begun to accelerate their hatching. Life is so fragile, it is evident here. Chapter 7. The Rules of the World. Born. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the sun disappeared and successfully landed on the shelter of the moon, people looked at the dim planet in the night sky with tears in their eyes. Whether it is H country or other countries, they only have time to be disposable manned carriers. In the shelter, there was a lively and noisy atmosphere. Oh, why did the sun go out, God? That must be because you drank too much last night. Our country, H, fortunately built a mother ship and landed on the moon. In the enclosed shelter, some people from our country are crying loudly. As the younger brothers of M country, they have also received a small number of spots, but as the commander of the light pole, there are no people under their command. The person from Piety country cried, I don't believe why our country's mother ship crashed into the meteorite belt. This must be a conspiracy of H country. No matter which country, they all understand that their homeland can never be returned. According to top scientists speculating, both the Earth and the Moon are deviating from the Milky Way, but the two are deviating in completely opposite directions. Fate played a big joke at this moment. Survivors in the convulsion trembled day after day. Due to unpredictable factors such as time constraints and limited space, the food brought is far from enough for people's long-term consumption. However, today everything has changed. Bands of stars envelop the moon. The mysterious radiance shines on the earth, spring returns to the earth, all things revive, and the power of gods is presented here. Is the moon the place where humans used to live? This statement may have been questioned in the past, but now no one will question it. Afterwards, humans discovered some naked temples. In the 8th shelter of H country, after the recovery of the moon, Chen Ling happily began his exploration activities. After placing the detection instrument in the designated location, I planned to find a place to discharge the accumulated funds. A small flood spread and a stone tablet was exposed like this. At the same time, the same stone tablet was found in the exploration of country M. This must be a directive from heaven for us. Maybe it's a conspiracy of the people of H country. Various opinions were rampant, and subsequently, both the people of H country and other countries received the same information after repeatedly detecting with the most advanced instruments. These stone slabs buried deep in the temple, after years of testing, are actually creations from thousands of years ago. This is too surprising. Did someone bury these stone slabs on the moon tens of thousands of years ago? No one can recognize the tadpole inscriptions carved on both sides of the stone slab, so they plan to discard it, and the stone slab is circulated as waste in the shelter. Afterwards, some mysterious believers from H and M countries touched these stone slabs and couldn't help but say such a sentence. When the old day falls and the new sun rises, it will wake up. At first, they were treated as lunatics and miraculously persuaded the people above to spread information about the slate. As for the words recorded on the other side of the slate, the content interpreted later is even more puzzling. If you find us, it represents the emergence of hope for the future, and darkness will guide you to find the answer. The drastic changes happening on the moon were unknown to Chen Ling of the earth. When the last blood color merged into the blood flame in his eyebrows, he opened his eyes and looked at the rooftop. There's something on the 17th floor, and he's coming over. Chen Ling was extremely convinced that the consciousness he had just sensed was the other party. As for the humans in front, Chen Ling instinctively skipped over. His mental state has now floated to the point where he can only distinguish between monsters and others. Suddenly, countless chains wrapped around the outer skin of the Shujie Monster Hunting Handbook appeared out of thin air, and the golden book edge contracted towards the center, forming a magnificent ripple. At the next moment, the golden pages of the book opened, and Chen Ling frowned as she saw this page. Underworld. When the pitch-black sun rises, the underworld is born from this moment, and the world rules are rewritten. All races must comply with the rules in order to plunder life. He stole the golden sun and turned everything into nothing. When the will of the world returned to this realm, the rules were restored to another path. The golden manual flipped the pages again, and Chen Ling's eyes narrowed. Chen Ling, the world is about to undergo tremendous changes, and humans can survive through it, but it is probably no longer the form you think. The good news is that we can influence the rules to a certain extent, while the bad news is that we are about to encounter the next dark race. What happens to monsters in nature when they encounter them? Generally speaking, if they are not of the same race, the strong will directly prey on the weak. Now, Chen Ling feels that she can overcome everything. There can only be one protagonist. That's me. On the day when the sun disappeared, Wang Hao once thought it was like a solar eclipse. Perhaps one day, maybe 2 days, everything would return to the right path. Until the day before yesterday. He swallowed a poor cockroach in a strong sense of hunger. A terrible change has occurred. That stinky woman, it's all because of pity for her that I'm doing this. Wang Hao passed by room 1305, furious, and kicked open the door. Bang! The door of a person's high room was kicked away, and Wang Hao retracted his carapace like feet. Tentacles grew out of his scalp, and he scratched his head. It was so itchy that he felt like his brain was about to grow. Oh, if you don't love me, don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me again. If it hurts me, let me take it back. Singing his own ballad, Wang Hao's face twisted as he sang in the darkness. Yu reading www.yuukeangshu.net until everything in the hall appeared in his eyes, and his figure froze. Who did it? No, my lovely little Li. In the bloodstain, Wang Hao picked up everything about the other person. The tentacles twisted wildly on top. Until the intimate object is stretched apart by it. In the 13th floor, why did it run into the house of that female shape-shifting monster? Chen Ling hesitated outside 1305. After hearing the other person's cry, Chen Ling couldn't help but tug at the corner of her mouth and say, it seems like she's a family, so she should be neat and tidy. In the pitch-black night above Tianhe community, the black sun replaced the void, and its darkness became even deeper. Invisible waves began to move in the form of particles. The surviving people and mysterious creatures in the world have already noticed the black sun. In an oasis in the desert, in a mountain cave on a plateau, a giant mother ship encountering huge winds and waves at sea, a starry fortress in the sky, and frozen polar soil that remains unchanged for thousands of years. The most obvious thing for ordinary people is that they suddenly acquire a certain skill and generate incredible power. The mysterious beings showed a proud smile. The power of darkness has awakened. Throughout the entire building, all survivors had a feeling in their minds. Just like fish can breathe. This world has been maliciously replaced by another kind of sun, with strands of black gas rising from the surface and rapidly decreasing temperatures maintained at -10 degrees Celsius. Humanity has lost its light, but has acquired another power, which is the demonic power from the blood, which can cause people to lose their sanity and also give them infinite power. A branch of the dark race is about to emerge. Chapter 8. Incubator's Paradise. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You like her so much, why don't you go accompany her? A teasing voice sounded. This caught Wang Hao's attention. All the armored feet were collected one after another, and two huge tentacles sniffed. Then he turned around without any disguise. Wang Hao. Is that you? I didn't expect there were also incubators who were left alone. Incubator. Chen Ling looked at the monster in front of him and silently took out his steel sword. I just checked his attributes in the user manual outside the door, but Chen Ling was puzzled by the other party's template. Wang Hao, Evolutioner, although the monster's power was obtained through unreasonable means, this mutation carries great risks and limitations, but it is essentially human, skills. Bite, strike, parasite, intelligence. 9, power. 18, speed. 13, obtained the ability of insect variants, with obvious defects but strong vitality. Oh, did you mutate on your own, said the incredulous tone from a bug-like body, incredibly eerie. Chen Ling did not respond. Wang Hao became even angrier as a result. I see, you didn't eat those damn bugs like us, nor were you parasitized. It's really enviable. As he spoke, Wang Hao's human form could no longer be maintained, and he saw a bluish-black pus squeezed out from its back. Under the arched limbs are densely packed small ones. They are like shells, protecting their strong lower limbs. Bomb, bang. The already dilapidated fire axe hit Wang Hao's body like an iron rod hitting wood. Wang Hao's abdomen bounced, and the fire axe deviated from the track, crashing down the kitchen door. Hey, come up and use a big move, it's too much, he said. From the moment Chen Ling's eyebrows and blood flames began to burn wildly, Wang Hao sensed something was wrong. Surprisingly, the other party is not the same type of variant as them. More importantly, human form. Being able to gain power and maintain a humanoid variant, I'm starting to look forward to your taste. Wang Hao was ecstatic. I've been muttering to myself all that time. If you're a bug, go to hell and say it. In the blood-colored hall, Chen Ling's red pupils emitted a magnificent magic. Endless killing intent erupted from it, and the steel-cutting sword instantly sliced out. The sword from bottom to top pointed towards Wang Hao's forehead. Thorny, prickly. Hee hee, just like torn clothes, the skin turned into rags and hung on Wang Hao's body, only to see 2 half-meter-long antennae protruding. Underneath the tentacles is a frozen face, with a piercing smile emanating from the half-open mouth. You're really disgusting. Xiaoqiang. Chen Ling exerted force under his feet and his body raced like lightning. The silver steel sword exploded in the air, piercing towards the center of the huge abdomen. Bang! Countless spikes appeared from the opponent's body surface, and Chen Ling's sword was blocked by the spikes before bouncing in the abdomen. This sword can only cut through his skin and cut off several small limbs. Ah! Ah, bastard, you're hurting me. The huge worm face flipped back and forth. Then, Wang Hao turned over and dodged Chen Ling's next sword, and with the sound of cascats, its wings spread out. Wang Hao became angry and said, I want to tear you apart. Chen Ling's sword, like a thunderbolt, was blocked by huge limbs. The opponent's strong lower limb kicked into the chest. Chen Ling hit the wall like a sandbag. The still burning blood splashed from the mouth onto the ceiling, corroding large pieces of wall ash. Gulu, in its drooling mouthpiece, countless tiny teeth were rolling and surging, and then a long soft body was ejaculated from its mouth. Boom! Chen Ling only had time to see the edge of the black shadow. In a hurry, he didn't get up and used his sword to block it. With 2 loud noises, the black shadow was thrown away. Click click click, in the reflection of the blood-colored pupils, the countless suction cups flying back onto the soft body dragged the small limbs on the ground into its mouth. The residue of blood flowed from its face. Until Chen Ling touched the drool on his face, and then he erupted, ding ding dang dang. The continuous sound of sword strikes exploded, and the sword slashed at it, unleashing countless sparks. Bang bang bang, even small limbs cannot protect the soft abdomen. How could? Speed. So fast. Puzzy. The fierce sword light pierced through the unprotected abdomen and quickly swept over the insect's face. A large amount of black tissue fluid is sprayed from the wound through the body, soaking on the blood-colored wall. Ah ah. Chen Ling felt a huge sense of disgust as he swung his sword at the insect's face. The blazing blood flames erupted into an astonishing cold. His anger was locked inside his body. Until the convulsed insect body was broken into countless pieces. Bang bang bang, countless limbs are broken down into segments in the air under inertia, leaving a terrifying worm head wriggling on the ground. Finally, the cold-colored sword pointed towards it. Are you his hashtag, me? You hashtag, you're really at percent, let's talk about the situation at the upper level. After venting, Chen Ling, who had no expression on his face, stabbed his steel sword straight into the opponent's insect face. Inserting inch by inch, retracting inch by inch, pulling back and forth. You are really a devil. Pushi, no. I said, there are insect mutants on the upper level, deformed monsters, and incapable individuals being kept in captivity. The worm's face exchanged tears, and disgusting pus and black spikes scattered around. Is everything else gone? For those who are incapable, what does being kept in captivity mean? No, of course being kept in captivity is just for fresh food. Wait a minute. Don't you want to take my little brother? The worm's face was full of survival desire, and just as it was about to say something, its whole face was shattered. You're too ugly, not good. Looking enough. Under the starry sky, Chen Ling remained motionless after saying these words. A cold wind blew by, and the black fragments on the ground were still convulsing. The manual with black chain edges peeked out from the chest, and gray handwriting appeared on the black book cover. Yu reading www.uukangshu.net. Chen Ling, won't you offer a sacrifice? No need, I don't think evil gods would like such sacrifices. Chen Ling refused the offer and shook his head, saying, You said, I've eaten so many monsters that I should fall into hell. So what are they? The Countryside Monster Hunting Handbook did not answer the question. It did not understand and was merely a tool that could only follow the commands of great beings. What is it? As if coming to his senses, Chen Ling's face, which was filled with a chill, burst out with enthusiastic laughter. Ha ha ha. Chen Ling covered half of his face with one hand, chuckling lightly, giggling foolishly, and finally laughing wildly. The bloody hall remained silent for a long time, when the laughter stopped. When she let go again, tears streamed down her face, and in the darkness, her eerie face was incredibly cold. If everyone in this world turns out like this, then they should all be killed. Damn it all. No one left. Not a single one can be left. In my heart, the desire to restore the world to its original state has shattered, and I am no longer a human. So, let's struggle hard. In the manual, the attribute panel named Chen Ling skyrocketed wildly. Chen Ling, demonic transformation 0.00004%. Your current state is very unstable. When your intelligence drops to 3, you will lose your human mind. Please remember this, skills. Burn blood, see through counterfeits, fury, intelligence. 5.7 strength. 17 plus 15, speed. 12 plus 11, your mental pollution has increased, and the power of madness has led to a comprehensive increase in your attributes when facing enemies, but it also weakens your willpower. It's hard to say whether this is good or bad. Chapter 9. True Power. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In room 1701 on the 17th floor, brother, Anan will be very well behaved. You must come back early. 11-year-old Anan curled up in the toilet barefoot. Jian Jingying dripped down from her small face. She knew she couldn't cry at this moment, but she was really hungry and cold. Dong dong dong. In the pitch-black environment, one person after another knocked on the door, and Anan covered her mouth, thinking of her gentle mother and chocolate cream cake. The evil ghost outside the door was laughing and crying, constantly wandering and not getting tired of it. In the memories of Anan and his brother, remember, no matter who knocks on the door, don't respond, never respond. Brother, I will bring delicious food to obedient Anan. When the evil ghost left the door, her brother made a promise with her. And Anan will never forget the back that left. Brother, take Anan with you. In a hurry, Anan put on her rabbit backpack and wanted to grab her brother's hand. No, keep going like this, keep going. My brother's voice was filled with fear and determination. Anyway, be obedient, I'll be back soon. Before saying the second sentence, Anan watched helplessly as the door closed. She moved a small stool and tiptoed to look outside the door. Ah, through the cat's eye, Anan saw the ferocious smile of his neighbor's brother Wang Hao. Bang! She was so scared that she fell to the ground, and that was the last time with her brother. The already indistinguishable night and day, the torn family. Ducks can be infected with fresh blood. Brother Anan could only hold on to the damp quilt and endure the cold and hunger. In her dream, she dreamed of her brother, father, mother, and other family members, everyone laughing and having a lot of delicious food. Thinking and thinking, Anan felt her eyes so heavy and wanted to sleep on the 13th floor of Chen Ling's body. Black flames burned the wreckage on the ground. The group of monsters on the top floor, I'm here. The blazing blood flame burned wildly in his eyebrows, and the anger in Chen Ling's heart became fuel. He is currently in two states, very angry, but extremely calm in his heart. When passing through the 17th floor, Chen Ling stopped and in the darkness before him, two figures appeared. Their heads rotate 360 degrees in unison, and their eerie smiles crack directly behind their ears. Human beings. No, it's a bit like a mutant. The incomplete limbs on the ground indicate the identity of the other party. After the world rules have changed again. Surviving humans began to move, but some became food on the ground. Do you also want to taste it? Incubator. It's not impossible to give it to you, but let an incompetent person accept our core. Two shape-shifting monsters coincidentally emitted joyful smiles, and with sufficient food, their instinct to continue their offspring began to awaken. What are you talking about? I can't pretend not to hear you. Chen Ling's black flame burned wildly in her heart. A pair of blood-colored pupils reflected the two people in the black, and his power was liberated. What's good about being a bug? Click. In the moment when the second shape-shifting monster did not react, the exploding sword swept over the first shape-shifting monster, and its red lotus-like blood burned all of it. Scream! The black sand fell to the ground, and the mysterious power inside disappeared completely. Blood, flesh, core, and soul crystals all disappeared. The remaining shape-shifting monster felt a wave of fear engulf itself. The instinct to escape caused him to disintegrate with a loud bang, and his big black eyes rushed towards one of the doors with a large organization. Finally, in front of the door of room 1701. Ah! Countless mouth-opening deformation monsters were blocked at the door, and then it erupted into an astonishing scream. A red blood flame sword light swept across its entire body, and the black tissue exploded into fragments. Hoo-hoo! The cold wind rushed out from the broken door, taking away the debris from the ground. Chen Ling's eyes were fixed on the surroundings. In the bathroom, the small figure huddled together and occasionally trembled. Bang! Well, don't be afraid of Daidia. Anan will be with you forever. The sleeping Anan was awakened and looked at the door in front of her with fear. I saw the red flame sizzling and opening the toilet door. Chen Ling pushed the door open and tried to show a smile, saying, "It's a bit violent, but little sister, are you the only one left?" Subsequently, Chen Ling took out the last compressed biscuits and snow cakes from the close-fitting bag. "Big brother, have you seen my brother?" He. Looking at Chen Ling's smile, the little girl who claimed to be Anan felt certain in her heart. The first thing I asked was my brother. Son Ergu, and I described his appearance. It's okay, you follow your brother to room 1703 to hide. I'll give you the food first, I'll clean it up, and then take you to find your brother. Upon hearing this, Chen Ling guessed that the little girl's brother was the one devoured by Wang Hao. It is only safe to take the other person away from here afterwards, and before that, only a white lie can be told. No, I have to wait for my brother here. Otherwise, my brother won't be able to find me. Anan, like a squirrel foraging for food, nibbled on the Wang snow cake while softly refusing. Then I'll wait for him with you first, so we won't be alone. Chen Ling turned away from Anan's gaze. After speaking, he left the restroom. Walking to the center of the hall, facing the bloodstains on the ground, Chen Ling remained silent for a long time. Thinking about how to take away the little girl named Sun Anan. Chen Ling, I'm really worried about you. Take a look at your progress in demonization. The golden manual floated up, and the black chain of UU reading www.uukangshu.net had disappeared, and a page-long attribute panel appeared. Shujie Monster Hunting Handbook, what kind of existence are you? Now you have to show me my attribute panel every time. Don't you want me to die? Seeing this, Chen Ling silently scrutinized the attribute panel in the manual, with thoughts swirling in her heart. Chen Ling, demonic transformation 0.00004.2%. Your current state has stabilized a bit, but the level of pollution has deepened a bit. Is the road ahead evolution? Fall or fall, it all depends on you, skills. Burn blood, see through counterfeits, fury, intelligence. 6.7, power. 19. Speed. 18. The power of madness has retreated, but your pollution has worsened, and the chains of rules are deepening into this world. Please remain rational, that is a condition for resisting evil spirits. Surprisingly, it slowed down a bit. Chen Ling noticed the process of demonization and turned to look at Anan, questioning the golden manual. I no longer feel hungry and don't need to drink water, is it because I ate them? No, to be more precise, from the moment you cultivate the evil god note, you have already died, in a physiological sense. After hearing this, the golden manual paused for a moment, and the handwriting continued to appear. So, I'm really not human anymore. Chen Ling sighed lightly and leaned back on the sofa, closing her eyes. Even though she was mentally prepared, she would still feel lost if it really happened. Is this the true power? At this moment, in the deserted 9th floor, alarms are still sparsely dripping into the water. Suddenly, a button on the elevator door lit up. Unexpectedly, the elevator without electricity started operating. And that direction is. Chapter 10. Elevator Mysterious Recovery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chen Ling, there's a strange thing happening now, right in the elevator across from you. The golden manual flipped through the pages. The benefits of the monsters inside the elevator were reflected in Chen Ling's eyes, and a malicious smile surged to the corner of his mouth. Monsters can enhance my abilities. With such benefits, how can I not taste them? So a crazy idea appeared in Chen Ling's mind. It's just that Chen Ling didn't notice. There was a black mass enveloping his entire body from the outside, and countless blood rays seeped through his body. The elevator outside the door was howling, and the laughter of the woman echoed. In the darkness, the lights in the elevator became the only light. Ha ha ha. Listening carefully, it seemed like crying. Ding ding, the elevator started to rise from the 9th floor and slowly climbed up. When it reached the 10th floor, it opened. The densely packed figures remained motionless, and in the darkness, they made a grinding sound in their mouths, as if chewing on some fine grains. Occasionally, whispers can be heard. Start working and work overtime. Go buy groceries. The child is going to school. I need to have my hair done. The air gradually became dull, and at each floor, a figure appeared out of thin air and boarded the elevator. A new figure came down from the elevator and disappeared out of thin air. The elevator is incredibly clean, as if it has just been cleaned by someone. Afterwards, near the illuminated elevator, a mouse appeared, squeaking and standing uncertain outside the elevator. Due to the lack of food, the withering of life accelerates. But small animals like mice are different. They persist longer because they can eat anything, including humans. After the mouse got into the elevator, the light quickly disappeared. Then all the shadows in the elevator stared at it with lifeless eyes, allowing it to pass through underneath. Bang! Before the elevator door closed again, all the black shadows stared fixedly at the mouse. When the shadows also disappeared, everything was completely dark. After a while, a dry skin floated out from the crack in the door. Ding! The buttons outside the elevator lit up, light appeared, and figures began to go to and from work again. The mouse was gone, and it remained silent. The elevator climbed step by step, from the 9th floor to the 10th floor. And soon climbed to the top floor, while all the shape-shifting monsters were feasting on it. Some evolutionary insects also drank the bright red wine, with numbness on their faces. Humans, asked the evolutionist coldly as he stared at the elevator door. No, that's just a monster, a different existence from us. The shortest shape-shifting monster wiped its fine teeth without responding. The middle-aged man who was locked in a certain room saw the elevator through the door. Husband, why haven't you been to work yet? A woman's smile appeared in the elevator, and she waved her hand to the middle-aged man. The man was momentarily lost in thought, his face covered in tears and said, Wife, you're dead, aren't you? The middle-aged man began to wriggle his body, and life here was like a maggot. His most beautiful memories of the past began to emerge. Crunching, the middle-aged man's wriggling voice caught the attention of a deformed monster. It strode over to the man and then picked him up with one hand, saying, "Man, do you want to die faster?" "No, no, no, I don't want to die." The man screamed as he was licked by the shape-shifting monster's delicate mouth. Ha ha ha. Countless mouths opened simultaneously, and laughter came one after another. It's like a nightmare suddenly waking up. The man closed his eyes in pain and lowered his head, saying, "Wife, forgive me. You're not my husband, he wouldn't be like this." Cowardly. The woman in the elevator suddenly had a fierce expression on her face. And when the originally bright light dimmed, it felt like hell inside. In the densely packed organization, women's clothes appear among them. It was stained with blood, brighter than light, deeper than darkness, everything was a monster. Never seen again, the elevator slowly closed and sank, gaga. Under the cover of black light, giggles filled the air, and a pair of big mouths were stretched to the limit. A big tongue protruded and rubbed against the face, feeling foolish. In his consciousness, a little light appeared around Chen Ling, as if he had entered a dream. In the infinite sky, a black dot appeared that was countless times smaller than the eye of a needle. What is that? Chen Ling looked curiously at the black dot. Well, if you have to say anything, that's the seed of dark pollution. It appears in your heart. Along with Chen Ling's question, a response appeared. Countless blood-colored streams of light converge in the air. A girl with black silk knee-high socks and brown leather shoes on her feet appeared bouncing up and down from beside him. Who are you again? Chen Ling was stunned in the white void. The surrounding vast expanses of blank space overwhelmed everything. Hee, if I have to say something, I should be your evil idea. It's really annoying, I didn't expect your heart to like this. The girl's face was empty, and her bright hair hung down under her feet. I'm going out, there's still something I need to do outside. Chen Ling frowned slightly, feeling uncomfortable with the hazy light around her. I can't go out, it depends on your own wishes, I can't control it. The girl waved her hand and turned into a chair in the air before sitting on it. Oh, then I'm leaving. Turning around, Chen Ling started with her actions and walked in a direction. The girl's white face remained motionless. At the same time, more and more light rushed in front of Chen Ling, as if there was a real sun walking ahead. Consciousness gradually blurred, and in the sun, everything from the past appeared, parents and younger sister. Everything seems to have remained unchanged, however, a sense of disharmony arises in my heart. No, it's not right. It shouldn't be like this, everything has changed. There's a notebook by my side, a shape-shifting monster. Chen Ling murmured to himself, and in the light, everyone smiled and looked at him. Big brother, big brother. Suddenly, the whole world began to shake, the white light dissipated, and a black world was emerging. Ah! Anan looked strangely at a puddle of water on the ground and at Chen Ling, who had stopped giggling. What's wrong? After opening his eyes, Chen Ling found him still lying on the black sofa. It was Anan who called out to him, and the other person gently pointed outside the door. What's wrong? Chen Ling stood up and walked to the door. Through the cat's eye, Chen Ling saw people, many people, brother, mom. Anan raised her hand and grabbed Chen Ling's hem, but Chen Ling couldn't believe it. In the elevator outside the door, one familiar figure after another greeted them like a dream just now, which was very different. This is the elevator mystery, they are a combination of grievances that die in the elevator, a manifestation of rules, intangible and intangible. The golden manual appeared, revealing everything. And Chen Ling also understood the true nature of things in the elevator. After the transformation monster, a second dark race, eerie creatures, emerged. Chen Ling remembered the strange idea and hesitated as he looked at the manual without any action. I heard that in the elevator, there is a connection to another world. Perhaps you can take an N and have a conversation with the people of that world, Chen Ling said calmly after regaining consciousness. Another crazy idea was to shout and swallow everything, and his eyes dimmed for an instant. How could you have such crazy thoughts? That's the world of the dead. The golden manual seemed frightened. The living enter the world of the dead, either assimilated or eliminated, with no other way out. The handwriting on the manual, "Why adopt such a radical approach?" appears. Because I am an evil creature, if I don't go to hell to see it, wouldn't it not be in line with my identity? Besides, this is also an experiment. Chen Ling said. On the other side, Anan pursed her lips. Chen Ling's words just now made her feel a bit confused and scared. The world of the dead. But, brother, mother, they are all in the elevator. Why go to that world? Anan whispered.